You gotta be on your toes working in a place like this, because everything's always changing. Yesterday's dirt field is today's 4-story building. If you're not careful, construction sites can be very dangerous places to work. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, reports 85 people die, and there are nearly 100,000 reported injuries every year due to unsafe boom lift operation. And worse, experts say that at least 25% of these accidents could be prevented with safe boom lift operating procedures and proper training. The purpose of this program is to give boom lift operators and those who work around boom lifts the knowledge needed to safely operate these lifts on construction sites. You will learn how to perform a walk-around inspection on a straight-mast boom lift. You will also learn about training, some hazards, and safe operating procedures. Boom lifts are one of the most widely used types of equipment on a construction site. They come in many sizes and give workers an elevated, movable, walking and working surface. There are mainly two types of boom lifts, the knuckle lift and the straight-mast telescope lift, some people call a JLG, after one of the more common manufacturers. Though each type of lift requires specialized training and operating procedures, there are some common principles that apply to both. The three principles you need to understand before operating a boom lift are rated load capacity, leverage, and center of gravity. A boom lift is like a seesaw. It can rotate in a circle, while its center or fulcrum also moves. So where the platform is located can be as important as how much weight is on the platform. The rated maximum load capacity of a boom lift changes based on boom extension and angle of lift. Whenever the platform is moved away from the fulcrum or center of balance, the maximum rated capacity is reduced. You must never operate a boom past the rated load capacity. And before operating any boom lift, know the total weight of the load, including workers, tools, and materials. The single most important thing you can do to protect yourself and your co-workers is to conduct a startup walk-around inspection. This only takes a few minutes at the beginning of each shift, or whenever a new operator takes over. We will review the startup inspection for a straight-mast boom lift. On the job, you will be specifically trained for the equipment you work with. Start by inspecting the steering axle for any visible damage, loose or missing parts, and check all hydraulic cylinders, hoses, and fittings for leaks. Examine tires and hubs for proper inflation and missing lugs. Check the hydraulic fluid levels and inspect the entire frame for cracks or any signs of visible damage. Examine each wheel assembly and make sure axle extension or outrigger pins are secure. Inspect the boom. Make sure the capacity tape and indicator are clearly visible and working properly. Check the platform and basket for damage, cracks, or missing parts, and inspect the pivot and slave cylinders. Make sure the boom chain is properly adjusted and travels freely. Open the engine compartment and look for leaks. Check battery connections and fuel level. After you've completed a visual inspection, review rated capacity and warning placards. Check to see that emergency release valves are tight and that ground controls are working properly. Start the lift. Make sure the boom elevates and extends smoothly and that all other functions perform to specifications. As with all elevated walking and working surfaces, you must use approved fall protection harnesses and lanyards at all times, even during inspection. So enter the platform and tie off. Then look for cracks and missing parts on the gate and railings. Check the controls and make sure the emergency stop foot pedal is unobstructed and operates properly. Start the lift and test all operating features for smooth performance. "50 feet up is no place to get confused about how the controls work. Control boxes should be readily accessible to the operator and should be placed in the direction of the function they control. A control box that's not permanently attached should have its normal location and orientation clearly marked. Movement control should automatically return to off or neutral when released. Upper controls should be protected against accidental operation from below, and lower controls should be equipped with a safety measure to protect against unauthorized use of your boom lift at any time. The boom lift must also be equipped with a passive brake, which will hold the unit on any slope that it's capable of climbing. Your safety and the safety of your co-workers depends on how thoroughly you know your job. You will be trained on safe boom lift operation, as well as the specific characteristics and limitations of the lifts you will use. Manufacturer's manuals are available for you as needed. New employees will be trained under the close supervision of qualified personnel. You will learn the intended function and purpose of each control, how to read and understand the manufacturer's operating instructions, and user safety rules. You'll also learn the location and how to understand decals, warnings, and instructions displayed on the boom lift, and gain a thorough understanding of each. Electricity is a serious danger for lift operators. You must keep 10 to 15 feet between the lift and power lines. High power lines require additional clearance. Remember to add a couple of extra feet to allow for both swaying lines and platform movement. Keep in mind it's not just a matter of not touching power lines. Electricity arcs through the air, finding the easiest path to the ground. If you are too close, that path could just be your lift. Stability, concentration, and safe operating procedures are the keys to safe lift operation. Stability is affected by height, weight, and driving conditions. Before using any boom lift, inspect the work area for hazards. One chuck hole can tip an entire load. Always look around for drop-offs or bumps, and floor obstacles, debris, or trash, overhead obstructions, and high-voltage conductors. If your job site or the manufacturer requires outriggers, stabilizers, extendable axles, or other stabilizing means, set them on firm, stable surfaces. Working on boom lifts requires proper fall protection. You must tie off and make sure that guardrails are in place with gates and openings closed. Never place a load on the platform which is heavier than the manufacturer's rated capacity, and be sure loads and tools are evenly distributed. Driving to the worksite, choose the least obstructed level path and make sure it can hold the weight of your machine and the load. Watch out for other vehicles. Keep pedestrians at least 6 feet away and always yield the right-of-way. Once at the site, check clearances above, below, and on the sides when you raise or lower the boom. Use proper platform access and never climb on the boom. Stand firmly on the floor, not on boxes, ladders, planks, railings, or other unauthorized, dangerous surfaces. Handrails are there for your protection and not to climb on, carry material, equipment, or tools. Platforms must be within 1 foot of the adjacent structure before you attempt to enter the structure. Stow power tools properly and never leave them hanging by cords. If you are working with another employee, the person operating the boom is responsible for all machine operations. Be aware of co-workers, equipment, and structures when extending or retracting the platform extension. Always retract stabilizers and leveling jacks before moving a boom lift. You've seen how to operate or work around a boom lift safely. You've learned how to perform a walk-around inspection on a straight-mast boom lift. You've learned some hazards and safe operating procedures. Boom lifts, like all tools and equipment, are only as safe as the operator in charge. Remember to make sure you are properly trained for the boom you operate. Always conduct startup walk-around inspections before work. If you are behind the wheel, be alert to the potential hazards of electricity, stability, and possible obstructions. And enjoy a long and safe career as a boom lift operator.